Started on 4, Scary Apple. This is in the H, Warp and Manipulation folder in your tutorials. So there are 3 files here. Go ahead and open all 3. And one of them is an apple. One is an example of the finished scary apple. And one is the teeth of that lion. So I'm going to just take a look at this composite here and look at the layers that have eyeballs that are turned on and what makes that up. And then I've also left the original layers in here for you to take a look at. So if you notice, the bottom of this apple is not nearly as wide as a finished version. And the teeth here look different than when I originally brought them over. Some areas have been erased and selected. And so let's go ahead and start recreating this. Now first I'm going to look at the image size here because these images are different. This particular one is 6 by 5.5 at 300 pixels. So if I go to the apple and look at that image size, now it's 300, but see how much bigger it is? And if you look at the lion teeth one, this is at 72. So these are not really the same size. So we're going to make this apple, start with this one, the same size as this. So remember, it was, we know the height is the same. It looks like it's been cropped in on. So let's make that height around 5.5 inches at 300 resolution. I'm going to go here to image size. And it is much bigger. So I'm going to type in a height. Well, it'll automatically adjust our width. So I'm going to type in 5.5. And then the width is wider, but it looks like it's been cropped into the other one. And I notice if I've resample clicked there. So that's 5.5 inches. And I also have inches here at 300 pixels per inch. I'm going to hit OK. So this is a smaller document now, Photoshop file. And it is got some areas we can crop in on. So let's look at this one as well. So they have the layer, all of these were layers. And you can tell, that the original is a different size on the base. It's been stretched and warped to fit that apple. So I'm going to go ahead and call this layer Apple Original. And I'll go ahead and keep that. Let's duplicate that layer. And this will be Apple. I'll have to go ahead and turn that bottom one off, and then you can see what we've got to work here with. So I'm going to bring in my lion teeth. So I've selected them with the lasso tool, just sort of the area that I wanted. I'm going to hit Command C to copy, and I'm going to paste them, and they will paste on their own layer. They're a little bit smaller. They're still not quite as large an image when I pasted them in as the apple was. I'm going to hit Command T for transform. And I'm just going to, the goal is to, if you look at this other one, get the teeth, the areas you want to keep. So I may want to keep a few of these hairs here. And there's, that black lips. I guess that lions have lips. And where we're going to end and start this. And yours may very well look a little different from mine, and that is fine. The idea is we're going to put those teeth on this apple, and we may have to warp it a little bit, transform it a little bit, and most certainly I'll have to do something to the bottom of my apple to make that work out. So I'm going to get this sized somewhat bigger so it's going to look like it fits on the edge of this apple. When I'm happy with that, I hit Command T and edit transform to get this bounding box around here. I'm going to hit return. Now I'm going to go in with my eraser. Wrong one, right down here. Go with my eraser, and it's on a block right now. Block. I can change it to a brush, and I may want definitely a harder edge on that. Or I can come in with any selecting tools that you may want to use, or quick selection tools, or you can use the quick selection with the brush, however you want to select it. But we are just going to make sure that we get rid of some areas so we can properly put these teeth on this apple. Oops, too much. I'm going to hit Command D to deselect, and then it looks like I'm going to have a little bit of cleanup work to do here. And then I'll still have to go back with my eraser and erase some parts. So go ahead and get all this cleaned up. I'm just going to do this super fast, not as nice and tidy as I normally would, because I just want to get to the tutorial part here. But of course, for my clients, I would be meticulous about this. And I'm going to get around that black lines, leaving a few little hairs, you know, here around the edge. And we're going to resize our apple, and we're going to resize our teeth until they fit just right. And then I'm going to delete a little bit of that apple as well. So I'm going to hit Command T when I've got the teeth selected. I'm going to go ahead and name this teeth. Okay, Command T, and I may have to, I'm going to bring it out a little bit. Oh, I've seen an area there that I've forgotten to delete. I'm definitely seeing those areas now. And I'm going to warp my apple just a little bit too here. So now I'm going to select the apple. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this background here on the apple. So make sure your apple layer is selected. I'm going to use that quick selection tool. I'm going to use my bracket key to make that brush a little bit larger. And we'll go ahead and, it's a very easy photo to select the white background on. And that's the reason I'm using the quick selection tool here. I think it's just the easiest choice. Once I have all that selected, I'm going to hit delete. And now you can see my original, if I turn the eyeball on, has the background. But this one does not. I'm going to hit Command D to deselect. Well, I'm going to hit Command Z for just a second. I really feel like I need to make some alterations to this. So I'm going to go to select inverse, and so it selects the inside of the apple instead of the outside with those marching ants. And now I can hit Command T, you know, and I can stretch this apple this way or that way, but I think it's going to work a lot better with that warp tool. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Warp, and this gives you a little more control over what areas you pull and warp. And so maybe we do need to resize the entire apple just a bit. But I can also line up the mouth correctly with my apple. And then I might just want to warp this side just a little bit just so it doesn't feel too much all on one side. But the main idea is just to make sure that mouth lines up pretty good. Now we're going to delete part of this apple here. And I'm just stretching and moving this apple, warping it a bit. Okay. Once I am happy where I have it, I'm going to hit Return. And then I'm actually going to delete parts of that apple. So I'm going to just use my eraser here to go in and get rid of those areas that are showing. And you may distort your lion teeth as well and make changes to that to make it look as similar or as different as you like to the original. Mine's a little bit different this time. Go ahead and save this as a JPEG with your name on it because this one is due for tutorials, I believe. So, call it Scary Apple _ your name and save it as a JPEG to turn